Welcome back to another episode of Hot Air, the show where we aren't afraid to call it like it is, especially when it comes to the lives and history of the LGBTQ plus community. I'm your host, Joshua Robert, and today I'm going to try something new, which is talking a little bit slower. I am also pissed, I'm also motivated, and I'm ready to talk some shit. And disclaimer, we are going to be talking about suicide, HIV, some sensitive subject matter. So if any of those are triggers for you, feel free to pause the episode and just wait until next week when we won't need a disclaimer. But we're going to push through. And, these are some really important lessons and important parts of history that we're going to talk about. So I think it's worth sharing. But again, if that's sensitive to you, then just by all means, turn me off now. So it may feel like we've made massive strides, but if you take a closer look, really look, you'll see that history is repeating itself in some of the darkest, deadliest ways. The government let us being the gays, die during the AIDS crisis. And now it pretty much feels like they're doing it again, just wearing a different mask. And every time I say mask, I feel like I need to say not mask for mask, a mask that you wear on your face to hide your identity. And this isn't just the story of neglect, it's also the story of targeted erasure. So today, I'm uncovering the disturbing parallels between past and present, from the HIV/AIDS crisis of the 80s and 90s to mental health helpline closures, healthcare restrictions, book bans, and everything in between. Past and present are coming together. It's honestly not that hard to recognize the similarities. So buckle it up because it's time to get loud. So let's hit it. Part 1. Then, AIDS and abandonment. Let me take you back to the early 1980s. The CDC first documents unusual pneumonia in gay men in mid-1981, a harbinger of what will become known as AIDS. By the end of 1981, roughly 160 Americans had died. A year later, in 1982, that number was 625. In 1983, 2,085. In 1984, 5,607. By the end of 1985, 12,598 people had died of AIDS. Yet, President Reagan didn't even say the word AIDS publicly until September 17th, 1985. At one press briefing in 1982, spokesman Larry Speaks, which I could be pronouncing that wrong, but I don't have the time to look it up, literally laughed off questions about the epidemic. Audio that later became the short film When AIDS Was Funny. The administration spent months brushing it aside, dismissing the risk. Even when Congress finally funded AIDS research in 1983, it was bundled with funding for Legionnaire's disease, so it had no special focus on AIDS specifically. And in 1987, Senator Jesse Helms passed an amendment stripping funding from HIV programs that promoted sexual activities. It passed 94-2 in the Senate. They weren't just ignoring us, they were punishing us. Activists took up the rallying cry, silence equals death. And that's what it was, a government ignoring queer bodies as they burned. Organizations like ACT UP and Queer Nation had to scream just to be heard. Silence equals death. It wasn't just a slogan, it was 100% reality. The government's failure to act wasn't passive, it was a form of violence. Part 2. Now, defunded and disposable. Fast forward to 2025. Remember that federal lifeline that launched in 2022, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline? You could press 3 or text PRIDE and be routed to counselors trained specifically for LGBTQ plus youth. That feature has connected with 1.2 to 1.3 million young LGBTQ plus people so far. And here is the hard truth. LGBTQ plus youth are more than 4 times as likely to attempt suicide as their straight peers. About 40% seriously consider suicide, and over 12% attempt it annually. That is a high number. But now, the Trump administration and HHS are cutting funding for that specialized Press 3 service, effective as of July 17th, 2025. So simply a few weeks away. Think about that. They are taking away the one crisis line guaranteed to understand queer youth on the other end of the phone. They're making the argument that the general 988 line is enough, erasing identity in the process. And suicide prevention is about identity, it's about need. And the need is clear. Again, queer youth are 4 times more likely to attempt suicide than their straight peers. So having a resource like that, somebody that they can go to that is trained specifically to connect with queer youth to save their lives, is a resource we need. And because the Trump administration is cutting that option, that is a direct attack on the LGBTQ plus community. And you know what this reminds me of? The Reagan era. Because again, we are saying, help us. And again, they are saying, you're not fucking worth it. I'm sweating. I'm heated. Take a breath. I'm starting to talk too fast again. Next up, part 3. HIV and healthcare today. The war continues. In the 1980s, we were dying while the government turned its back. Today, Congress is threatening programs like PEPFAR, a program saving millions globally, 120 billion in total, and even tried to gut domestic programs like Ryan White that serve low-income queer folks. At the state level, places like Florida and Texas are targeting HIV prevention funding, especially at queer-serving organizations providing things like PrEP or testing and wraparound care. This is not neutral. It's targeted erasure through neglect. Taking away PrEP from people is just going to expose them to more HIV. How that doesn't make sense, I don't know. But let me be very clear on behalf of us all here. Cutting HIV funding is not a neutral act. It's a targeted political attack, especially when those funds go towards PrEP access. They go towards testing. They go towards low-income care programs like Ryan White, which overwhelmingly serves queer, trans, and Black communities. It's almost the same damn fight from 1985, just in a different uniform. So instead of ignoring us outright, now they're legislating us out of basic care. Part 4, trans care under siege. Right now, more than 25 states are pushing laws banning gender-affirming care for minors and targeting adults too. Clinics are being sued, doctors threatened with penalties, providers are shutting down. Research shows trans youth that are denied care face skyrocketing rates of depression and suicide. This is what one parent said of a trans child. They threatened to charge me for giving my kid hormone blockers. We had to flee to another state. That's not policy. That is erasure. That's like the theme of this episode. Erasure. You want to talk about an emergency? Let's talk about what's happening to trans people in America right now. It's about protecting the children. No, it's not. It's about controlling the narrative and erasing gender diverse people from public life. If they cared about the data that says that trans youth that are denied care are at higher risk of depression, suicide, homelessness, and abuse, we know this. The data is clear. If they cared, they would not be stripping our rights away. But just like during the AIDS epidemic, the powers that be are choosing ideology over lives. And the powers that be say, we don't want to fund that. And we say, we just want to survive. Part 5, censorship, schools, and the new closet. On a previous episode, I said that internalized homophobia was the new closet. In this case, the new closet is something else. So we're living in a time where rainbows equal radical agendas. Don't say gay bills are in effect in multiple states, banning support groups, queer books, even counselors. Over 200 LGBTQ plus titles have been pulled from libraries and schools. We know LGBTQ plus students in unaccepting environments are almost 8 times more likely to attempt suicide. And that did sound like a giggle because I laugh when I'm uncomfortable, but that is astronomical. That number is wild. And meanwhile, teachers are told to cover rainbow pins or they're going to lose their jobs. That is not safety, it's simply silence. And it does not just stop there. Libraries, schools, even pride events are being stripped of funding or forced into silence. Now, this isn't just censorship. It is censorship, but that's not all it is. It's recloseting a generation. They are trying to make us disappear. One policy, one book, and one rainbow pin at a time. And while some corporations slap a rainbow on a beer can or on a piece of their merch, queer kids are sitting in classrooms wondering if they're even allowed to exist. And a lot less corporations are slapping that rainbow on their merch this year, but some still do. And for the people out there that are saying that kids don't need to know these terms until they are older and can understand it and can make sense of it, for me, that says that they don't need to know that they exist. Just to understand that someone out there in the world feels the way you do, can identify with how you identify, that can be the difference between life and death. Whether that is a character in a book, whether that's at a support group or a character on television, if we start stripping those things away and we never see a gay character again, we're going to go back to wondering why we feel so different. And the world is so much bigger than fucking Florida or Texas. And I can guarantee you, no one is trying to make kids gay or trans or trying to force them to be any alphabet letter of the LGBTQ plus community. We just want kids to know that it's okay to be themselves, whether you're straight, gay, bi, trans, whatever it is, just be yourself. And there should be representation of all of those categories. Part 6, homelessness, safety, and the invisible queer poor. So they leave home. They're rejected. They get kicked out. LGBTQ plus youth are over 120% more likely to experience homelessness than their straight peers. When they turn to shelters, many are denied housing due to anti-queer policies, and federal funding for queer-affirming shelters might as well not even exist. So where do we go? Where do we turn? And when we show up at a shelter and they say, sorry, not your kind, what message does that send? And also, where the fuck do they go? Where are people expected to go? And this is why people turn to drugs and live on the streets and become the homeless population that we see around us that is not even thought of, that is ignored, that is not taken care of, and still nobody is doing anything to help them. Part 7, silence still equals death. So here's what we got, boiling it down. Then we have the AIDS crisis. Now, the suicide hotline closures. Then we have government silence. Now we have active erasure. Then no funding for HIV. Now bans on PrEP and gender care. Fucking terrifying and very similar. The strategy has not changed. Simply the tactics have. And every time a queer kid loses their life to suicide, every time a trans person is denied care, every time a community center loses funding, the silence still equals death. Part 8. So what do? Well, we raise hell. We speak up. We support grassroots organizations that refuse to be silent. We donate to community centers and mental health hotlines. We vote like our lives and the lives of those coming after us depend on it, because they do. Volunteer your time. Find a local organization near you just for a few hours. If everyone gave a few hours a week, we could help so many people. And I certainly plan on doing that because I am trying my best to also walk the walk and talk the talk, because I do a lot of talking. And, if this episode has shown you anything, it's this. We've survived before, we've fought before, but survival is not the only goal. Liberation and equality is. A little bit of more my opinion on all of this. I am the kind of person who, this could come across like a little bit controversial, but so for example, there's very religious people out there in the world who think that being gay is an abomination, the ultimate sin. As I said, they come to our pride parades with their signs that say we're all going to burn in hell. And if somebody wants to believe that, if they are so passionate about that, I'm like, great, fucking let them go. Like, you're doing something hateful and hurtful, but until you physically assault me, you're really not hurting me. I can choose to kind of like protect myself, protect my emotions, protect my feelings in that moment. So if someone thinks being any part of the queer community is wrong and terrible, go for it. Think that, feel that, live your life not being a part of the queer community. If you hate trans people, don't be one. It's so simple. If you don't want an abortion, don't get one. But dictating what everyone else should do because of a God that you believe in that I don't believe in makes zero sense to me. If you want to hold up your hateful signs, hold up your hateful signs. But when all this legislation starts filtering into government as it is, that's when the line of church and state is completely crossed and not even existent anymore. Keep your religious opinions to yourself. Go for it. Don't try to push them on me because Lord knows I'm not going to walk into a church because if it is indeed a sin to be gay, my ass will be on fire. So I respect other people's perspectives, other people's opinions, other people's views on life, however small or big they may be, or how much they may contradict mine. That's fine. Go for it. Do you. But I'm going to be out here respecting my community and supporting my community and hoping the best for them. I'm not going to push it on you and just be like, please, you love the gays, love the queer community. Like, that's not my responsibility. Maybe people will grow and learn and change, and maybe they won't. More often than not, people do not change. So why are we going to waste our time trying to make these people feel and act differently when we know that they won't? I just wish it would just be nice if those people had that same perspective, wouldn't it? So yeah, but that's not the case. Laws are being enacted, rights are being taken away, funding. Like, I need my prep. Keep your Jesus out of my fucking medicine is what I'm trying to say. Keep your God and your Bible out of my prep, bitch. Thanks. Thank you so much. And in addition, in closing, sort of, this is the last of the Pride series, the last big episode of Pride Month. But I, of course, being a raging homosexual that I am, I'm going to continue with all of the gay history. I hope to have more friends on from the LGBTQ plus community. I am going to get right back into the therapy side of things, all of the fun self-help stuff that I've been learning. But this last month, I have realized how passionate I am about these topics and how important they are to me. And I really did not expect to feel so inspired by all of these things. And that's probably because of my own internalized homophobia, like really sitting down and going through these topics and doing the research and writing the scripts and figuring out what I think is important and timely has been very, very eye-opening. So I think Hot Air is going to continue down the queer community path. And I mean, sorry to all of my, well, not really sorry. Apologies, fake apologies to all of my straight female friends, but I don't know if I'm going to do many episodes with them anymore unless it is something that is very relevant. But I think it's important to lift up the voices of people that are not, straight, white, blonde women. Sorry, you know who you are, and I love you. But I think this podcast needs to continue down this route, and I want to be able to chat with people that are not like me, but from the queer community. I want to have some trans guests, people of color. So if you have a story to share, something that you feel could fall under the Hot Air umbrella, and you are from the queer community, you can go on to the website, hotairwithjoshuarobert.com, the longest URL you've ever heard. And you could submit your story. You can just send me a message and then we can connect. We'll figure out a time. I want to share as many stories from as many people, from as many different walks of life in the queer community as I can, so that, all the people that are saying don't say gay and all of this erasure that is happening doesn't happen. We can stick together and be the voice for each other and let those trans youth or gay youth or people that are 14, 15, 16 trying to figure out what the fuck is going on in the world and who they are, that there's other people like them that are doing the damn thing. So now in closing, thank you again for listening to Hot Air. If this episode stirred something in you, make sure that you share it and share it loudly. You can tag your friends on all my social media. You can find me on social media on TikTok and Instagram. I should probably get an X account just for the sake of it, even though Elon's insane. But you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at _hotairpod. And we may not have been born into a world that wanted us, but bitch, We are reshaping it one loud ass scream at a time, and we're going to make this world absolutely love us and not be able to thrive without us. Let's be real, the world is fucking boring without the rainbow alphabet. So make sure you tune in to this Friday's Hot Flash mini-sode, and that will conclude our Pride festivities, but we're keeping things gay. So until next time, stay loud, stay proud, and don't fuck it up. I don't know. I really just wanted to say that. All right, that's it. I will see you next Tuesday.